My name is Sophia Bennett. I am 26 years old, and I have spent most of my life learning one painful truth about my family. Image always came first, honesty came last, and I was the one who paid the price every single time. Growing up, I became used to the sideways glances and whispered comments about my choices. The raised eyebrows when I did not fit their perfect picture never stopped. Nothing, however, prepared me for the family dinner that changed everything. My sister's new boyfriend sat across from me and turned my struggles into his personal comedy routine. I drove to my parents' house that quiet Sunday with the usual knot in my stomach. Their neighborhood looked frozen in time, every lawn trimmed, every mailbox matching, everything designed to hide what really happened behind closed doors. My mother greeted me with a practiced smile that felt more like an inspection than a welcome. She immediately questioned why I was cutting it so close. My father barely looked up from his mail. He offered only a quick nod. Moments later, my sister Claire arrived with her boyfriend Derek Langford. He carried himself like someone who already owned the room. My parents lit up the instant he walked in. Their whole posture changed as they hung on his every word. We sat down to eat, and the conversation flowed around me like I was not even there. My mother laughed too loudly at Derek's stories while my father nodded along with genuine interest. Claire beamed with pride. I kept my head down and focused on my plate, hoping to stay invisible. That hope did not last long. Derek eventually turned his attention toward me with a casual smile that did not reach his eyes. He asked about my work in a tone that sounded friendly, but carried an edge. When I gave a simple, honest answer, the mood at the table shifted immediately. My mother shifted uncomfortably in her seat, and my father's jaw tightened. The silence that followed felt heavier than any words. Then Derek leaned back and began talking about ambition and success. He described people who drifted between projects and never quite found their footing. The table laughed along with him. The joke was clearly aimed at me. I felt the familiar sting, but something else caught my attention. A small detail in his stories did not add up. He mentioned specific projects and responsibilities that seemed completely wrong for the department he claimed to work in. I stayed quiet and listened carefully. I let everyone enjoy their moment. Inside, though, my mind was already turning over the inconsistencies. That single dinner planted a seed of doubt I could not ignore. The days after that meal felt heavier than usual. I replayed every word Derek had said while the exhaustion from years of family judgment settled over me again. This time, however, curiosity pushed through the hurt. I started with basic public research on his company and background. What I found only deepened the questions. On paper, everything looked fine, but the details he bragged about never appeared anywhere. No presentations, no team records, no matching job descriptions. I reached out to a former colleague I trusted and asked general questions about workflows in that industry. The answers confirmed my growing suspicion. Derek's story had holes. I continued digging quietly without telling anyone. A contact helped trace unusual business filings linked to Derek. A shell company with almost no real activity but his name attached. Small irregular deposits from different personal accounts raised more red flags. It started to look less like exaggeration and more like a carefully built performance. Parse emerged that suggested he was collecting money from people who trusted his polished pitch. Nothing screamed obvious crime yet, but the picture was becoming clear. Derek was not the successful, confident man my family adored. He was selling an image that hid something unstable and potentially harmful. I gathered everything into one folder and waited. The wedding invitation arrived in an elegant envelope that felt too perfect for what it represented. Claire and Derek were getting married, and my family acted as if the earlier dinner never happened. I marked myself as attending without hesitation. If the truth needed to surface, it would happen at the event, where appearances mattered most to them. On the wedding day, the vineyard venue looked beautiful under gray skies. Guests moved in their finest clothes, while I carried only a small clutch containing the folder. The ceremony went smoothly with vows and rings and applause. Claire looked hopeful and radiant. Derek stood tall with that same practiced confidence. During the reception, the stage filled the air with laughter and clinking glasses. I waited until the speeches ended and people drifted toward the buffet. Then I walked straight up to the newlyweds. I opened the folder and showed them the documents without raising my voice or making a scene. Claire leaned in first. Her expression moved from curiosity to confusion and then to something colder. Derek glanced at the papers and his confident mask cracked instantly. Panic flashed across his face as he stumbled through weak excuses that fell apart. Guests nearby started to notice the tension spreading. My parents rushed over, and their faces changed from irritation to shock. I simply looked at my sister and said the only thing that mattered. You should know who you really married. The silence that followed was crushing. Derek's frantic attempts to explain only made everything worse as the truth unraveled in front of everyone. My family turned on me immediately, just as I expected. They accused me of trying to destroy the day and making it about myself. I did not argue or stay to defend my actions. I walked away from the gathering with steady steps and headed toward my car. No one followed me. Outside the venue, the air felt lighter and cleaner. I sat in my car for a moment, letting the distant sounds of the reception fade. I did not feel triumphant or bitter. What I felt was a sharp, clear sense of freedom that had been missing for years. Sometimes the family we are born into cannot protect us from the truth. I drove away knowing I had chosen self-respect over their approval. Walking away from people who value image above everything else is never easy, but it becomes necessary. If you stayed with me through this entire story, thank you for listening. Drop a comment and tell me what you think is harder, speaking up when it matters, or finally walking away for good. If this story hit home, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another real-life story like this.